Every gardener knows the power of mulch. It shields the soil, slows evaporation, and helps fight weeds. But not all mulches are created equal, and some go far beyond being just a cover. Among the overlooked options is rotten hay, the kind most people see as useless waste, sitting damp and smelly in a corner of the farm or garden. Yet what looks like decay to the untrained eye can be a treasure for the soil. Old farmers swore by it, earthworms swarm to it, and when used right, it doesn't just protect your beds, it transforms them. Today, we're diving into what happens when you mulch with spoiled hay, why it's so effective at drawing in worms, and how it feeds the soil all season long. Why rotten hay and not fresh? Fresh hay is full of seeds, light, and springy fibers that tend to sit on top of the soil rather than break down. When spread as a mulch, it often germinates, leading to a flush of unwanted grasses and weeds. But once hay has gone through the process of rotting, whether it sat wet through a season, fermented in a bale, or broke down partially in storage, its structure changes. The fibers soften, the natural sugars ferment, and the weed seeds lose viability. What you're left with is material that decomposes much faster, is rich in organic compounds, and is irresistible to soil life. Rotten hay is a halfway step between dry straw and fully composted material. It carries enough carbon to protect the soil, but enough nitrogen-rich residues from grasses and legumes to feed microbes. This dual nature makes it one of the best materials for jump-starting soil biology without smothering plants in a thick, wet mat. Worms know the difference. Anyone who has pulled back a layer of old hay mulch knows the sight tunnels weaving through the darkened earth, worm castings clustered near the surface, and wriggling bodies retreating from the light. Earthworms are drawn to rotten hay because it meets two of their most urgent needs: food and shelter. So first off, the soft fibers in rotten hay provide a steady feedstock. Worms can't really digest raw plant matter directly. They actually rely on microbes to start breaking it down for them. Rotten hay already comes packed with microbial colonies which get to work converting those fibers into forms worms can eat almost right away. Another big plus is the moisture-retaining qualities of rotten hay, which create a safe environment. It holds humidity close to the soil and keeps it from drying out, which is super important for worms since they breathe through their skin. And when you add the cover from predators and the way it helps regulate temperature, you end up with pretty much the perfect worm habitat. The real magic of rotten hay mulch isn't just about worms. It's about the invisible world underneath it. As the hay breaks down, fungi start to spread through the softened stalks, weaving these white threads of mycelium. Meanwhile, bacteria swarm to the fermented sugars that are still in the material. This whole microbial bloom is what really kickstarts the soil building process. When hay breaks down, it releases organic acids, humic substances, and trace minerals that were once locked inside the plant tissues. These compounds slowly seep into the soil, binding particles together into aggregates and improving the overall structure. Within just a few weeks, you'll probably notice the soil under rotten hay gets looser, darker, and more sponge-like. Over time, all this microbial activity stabilizes nutrients into forms plants can actually use steadily, instead of just in quick bursts. That's one of the big reasons old farmers valued spoiled hay so much. It didn't just fertilize for a week, it actually improved fertility for whole seasons. So to see just how powerful this mulch really is, imagine laying a 4-inch layer of rotten hay across a vegetable bed in the spring. Within the first 2 weeks, the surface weeds are smothered, robbed of sunlight by the dense mat. By the first month, the hay has already started shrinking as fungi thread through it, and the moisture under the mulch is, well, noticeably higher than in unmulched beds. By midsummer, worms have taken up residence. Their castings pepper the soil surface beneath the hay, and tunnels carry oxygen deep into the root zone. The crops in this bed, even during dry spells, show fewer signs of stress because the soil moisture stays consistent. Come late summer, the bottom layer of the hay is no longer recognizable as stalks. It is turned into dark, crumbly organic matter that blends seamlessly with the soil below. When autumn arrives, lifting what remains of the mulch reveals an unmistakable transformation. The soil is darker, looser, and just teeming with worms. The hay itself, once written off as waste, has actually become the foundation of new humus. And unlike synthetic fertilizers that spike growth and then vanish, this mulch has fed life slowly, turning one season's waste into the next season's fertility. Gardeners often ask why rotten hay outperforms other common mulches like straw, bark chips, or leaves. The answer, honestly, lies in balance. Bark is just too woody, breaking down slowly and tying up nitrogen. Straw is carbon-heavy and often lacks the microbial activity to start decomposition quickly. Leaves can be excellent, but they tend to mat down and repel water unless they're shredded. Rotten hay, however, offers a near-perfect mix of partially decomposed organic matter, soft texture, and high microbial activity. So, the fermentation process that hay goes through before you use it, well, it really makes it uniquely primed for soil life. Unlike dry straw, it doesn't need months just to start breaking down. And unlike bark, it won't acidify your soil. Plus, it's not like raw compost that's already fully decomposed. There's still some fuel left in there for worms and microbes to work through, giving you a nice, slow, and steady release of fertility. To really get the most out of rotten hay, you've got to pay attention to thickness and timing. A thin scatter just won't do much to smother weeds or hold in moisture, but if you lay it on too thick, it can actually smother your seedlings. So aim for about 3 to 5 inches over established crops or on empty beds, and always water the soil well before you lay the hay down. This way the mulch can seal in all that existing moisture. Rotten hay, honestly, works especially well in pathways around perennials and over fallow beds that are getting ready for the next season. For your vegetable beds, it's best to apply it after crops are established, since young seedlings might struggle if they're buried under heavy mulch. In orchards, rotten hay is just invaluable around the base of trees, creating a living circle of fertility that worms will keep working year after year. One caution, and it's a big one. Avoid hay that has been treated with persistent herbicides. These chemicals can actually survive the fermentation and decomposition process, and, carry over into your soil. So, it's best to stick to sources you trust, like spoiled bales from organic farms, old animal bedding that's already broken down, or even your own forgotten stacks from previous seasons. The power of rotten hay mulch isn't just in one season's transformation, it's really in the legacy it leaves behind. Every worm casting produced under that hay is packed with nutrients, all locked up in stable humus. And every fungal network spun through those fibers remains, acting as glues that bind soil particles together. Each year you repeat this practice, the improvements just compound, creating soil that is deeper, richer, and honestly, way more self-sustaining. In an era where, a lot of gardeners chase quick fixes with synthetic fertilizers, this old kind of forgotten trick reminds us that real fertility comes from working with nature, not against it. Rotten hay isn't exactly glamorous, but it's real, it's proven, and it's grounded in generations of observation. For the gardener who wants soil that truly comes alive, this is one of the simplest, most powerful practices you can bring back. Rotten hay mulch might look like waste at first, but to the soil, it's honestly a feast. It suppresses weeds, feeds microbes, attracts worms, and transforms garden beds into reservoirs of fertility that last long beyond just one growing season. It's no wonder old farmers relied on it as the backbone of soil health. If you've got access to spoiled hay, don't just throw it away. Lay it down, let the worms move in, and watch your soil become, black gold. If you found this guide helpful, make sure to subscribe to Hydrohaven for more soil-tested secrets. And hey, share this video with fellow gardeners who are ready to bring life back into their beds. The forgotten wisdom of yesterday might just be the breakthrough your soil needs today.